AzahrYahu, we come to you as men of Elohim, as we coming to build together as strong men that's building together, Abba, to lead your nation, Abba. Lead your nation, the children, Abba, back to you, Abba. As we build together, Abba, try to break the strongholds that we have with each other, Abba. To lift each other up as brothers and men of Elohim, Abba. To lean on each other, Abba. That we could be that strong defense against the adversary, Abba, that's try to attack our families, and attack each and every one of us, Abba. Abba, asking you to inspire Adon, AzahrYahu, as he's about to put forth the lesson of that, Abba. That you put your rock in him, Abba. That you give him the strength and the spirit, Abba, of you, Abba, to put out the lesson, Abba. Told our Abba, this for blessing each and every one of us, Abba, to see another day, Abba, to get it right with you, Abba. We appreciate the things that you do for us, Abba. As we trying to break out the curses, try to break out the stiff neck, as you had said, we were stiff neck people, Abba. We are trying to break that generation curse, Abba, and bring the righteous back to Israel, Abba. And we know, Abba, it's started for us men. So, Abba, we continue to ask you to build us men up, Abba, so we could be their leaders, Abba, for our family, for our nation, and for all your creation out here that you created, Abba, because you created us to be dominion over the earth and everything within it, Abba. So we ask you to continue building us up as men of Elohim. We appreciate the platform that you give us, Abba, that we able to come together and study together, Abba, build together, Abba, fellowship together, Abba, and try one day to become a one accord through you, Abba. AzahrYahu, AzahrYahu, AzahrYahu. Blessed be you, Yahuwah Elohim. Blessed be the name of Yahuwah Elohim. And blessed who come in the name of Yahuwah Elohim. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Amen. Shalom.
Shalom. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Shalom, shalom, my king. How's everyone doing this evening?
Shalom, shalom. Everything's told. Praise you for mercy, love.
Amen. Hallelujah. Well, I am your AzahrYahu, and it's definitely a pleasure to be amongst you, to just give forth this word the Most High has been giving me. All praise, honor, glory, and esteem belongs to Yah, for he is good and his mercy endures forever. I am thankful for this opportunity. Last night, AzahrYahu gave me a call, and I was ready and eager to just bring forth a message, and I had something ready. I was like, yeah, I'm going to talk about, the way that the Most High corrects us, and, the way, how everything's just going. But then today when I was at work, the Most High placed a totally different message within my nefesh, and he just kept on just providing different scriptures and started to lead me in a different direction. So tonight I want to encourage you all. Right now, Akeem, we are living in a very important time in history as we know it. With everything that's happening around the world, wars, plagues, natural disasters, the world financial systems are crashing, mass shootings, and everything else that we can just name that we see daily, whether on social media or in the news, or just the things that we may hear around at work. Anyone who can see and has some type of spiritual understanding knows that the whole world as we know it right now is under attack. We are living in a time that our ancestors have been waiting for, a time where we are witnessing the prophecies of the Most High come to pass, a time that we cannot even deny any longer the word of the Most High. He said that his word will not return back void. And we are actually seeing that happening to this day. We are truly in this time of the Most High judgment. And therefore, we know that our deliverance is near. And with everything that is going on physically, it's easy to feel the effects of what's happening internally and spiritually. And that's why tonight I just want to give you a word of encouragement, Akeem, because this is a time that we have to endure more so than any time that we had to endure before, because now it's crunch time. I know lately it hasn't been easy for a lot of us. Some things have been happening in our lives that we can feel that our spirits are being tested. And it's because the Most High is dealing with us in a way that we have never been dealt with before. We are growing and we are in this time of elevation. So I don't want any of us who are on the line or any of the brothers who are not on the line at this time to feel discouraged in the hardships and the trials that may come our way, but to be encouraged that we're going to get through this. And tonight I'm going to help you understand and see how the Most High has already given us the victory to get through this. Do anyone know what the Hebrew word for encourage is? Is there any hands? Okay. So the Hebrew word for encourage is kazak. Now, we have heard the word kazak meaning strong or strengthen, but it also means repair, encourage. It's interesting how one word in the Hebrew language has so many strong meanings, and yet they're different in the aspect of when they're used. Us as Akeem, as brothers, we are supposed to be strong fences. But if you are in construction, you know you have to have a good foundation, and you have to make sure you have all the fixings needed to keep that fence up. If not, anything that happens, whether it's a wind blow or any kind of event that may happen, will knock that fence down. And that's what encouragement is. It's to be able to uphold, strengthen, hold fast each other, that we do not get knocked down so readily and so easily. If we go to Proverbs 17, starting at verse 17, and I'm going to read it. I don't need a reader, because I'm going to have a lot of scriptures, and we're just going to really be bouncing off of different ones. But Proverbs 17 says, a friend love at all times, and a brother is born for adversity. Now, when we look at that word, adversity, it's sarah, which is also means straits, distress, trouble. A brother is born to help us get through troubled times. When we say that we are Akeem, we are saying that, well, when we're saying we are Akeem, we are saying that we are there for each other to help hold each other down, to not knock each other. So many of us can see on Facebook how we use the word Ak so loosely. We use it for people that we know is Israel, but we may not know them personally. But then when we have one tiny disagreement about what we believe, it seems like the one that we call Ak falls so easily. We can't hold that relationship because of one difference, instead of trying to build with one another, to strengthen one another in order for us to actually grow and be unified as brothers. You don't gain a brother just because that's your brother and you were born from the same mother. We can see that in the text. Esau and Yaakov were brothers, blood brothers. They didn't get along. Cain and Abel, blood brothers. They didn't get along. Even Yaakov and his 12 sons, when it came down to Joseph, they threw him in the pit. They sold him into slavery. They didn't get along. So even your blood brother doesn't necessarily have to be your brother. Anyone that's been in the military will tell you, when you got someone watching your six, you got to be able to trust that person with your life, to know that person's not going to stab you behind your back, or they're not going to just watch out for themselves that may put you in harm's way. That's a brother born in that for adversity. That's how we're supposed to be in Israel. We have to be able to trust one another. We have to be able to watch out for each other. In Proverbs 27:5-6, it says, open rebuke is better than secret love. We know the Torah tells us that we got to be able to rebuke or reprove one another and accept that correction, because we're supposed to be doing it out of love. So many times we correct one another, or we receive correction, and then we don't want to hear it because it doesn't sit right with us. But maybe there's something that we're doing, or maybe there's something that we've done that we don't know. But if someone really loves you, they're going to be there for you to help lift you up, to encourage you, to let you know, hey, yeah, you slacked off right here. But it's okay. We're going to get through this together. Because in 27:6, it says, faithful are the wounds of a friend, but the kisses of an enemy are deceitful. It is important for us as brothers to be honest with one another. Sometimes we may get into a situation where we may see something with our leadership or with our close friends, and we don't want to say anything because we don't want to cause any problems or cause any conflict, or we don't want to lose a brother in that situation. But when we are not upfront and when we're not honest, all we are doing is allowing the problems to continue to fester. We're not fixing it, and therefore we're not healing the wound. We are not repairing the breach. Kazak, encourage. It's amazing how, as we were born not in this walk, some of us, and we built relationships with our most closest friends from elementary school and high school. Those relationships started on the schoolyard or in the classroom, whether it started off with a hi, my name is, or whether it started off with a schoolyard scuffle. We built real relationships and bonds that have lasted for decades. Even to this day, we still have those strong connections to these individuals. But interesting enough, if we told them about this Torah or we tell them about this word, they say, yeah, that sounds good and all. Yeah, I'm glad for you. I'm happy that you found peace. I'm happy you found it. They don't knock you, but they won't join you. They'll give you all these different excuses on why they can't follow this way of life, no matter all the evidence that we may give them. But they will still encourage you, like, keep doing what you're doing. I'm proud of you. And that's important because as B'nai Israel, we're supposed to have that same love for one another, but we have a hard time doing it. We have a hard time being able to talk to our brothers and even if we have a difference, still staying close. And it's important for us to remember that, yes, we're not always going to agree with everything, especially now, because of the condition of our people. But if we can hold on to the things that we do agree on and be able to talk with one another as we work through our differences, not argue, not debate, not Facebook slamming and all these things, but to be able to have peaceful, private dialogues, we can get a lot further into building this kingdom that has to come. We can be the cornerstones and the fixings that need to be put in place in order for this kingdom to come together the way that the Most High desire it to be. By a show of hands, how many of us came into this walk within the past 10 years? All right. So just within these past 10 years, Toda Akim. So just within these past 10 years, we have noticed a change in our lives We have seen this thing. We have seen and witnessed things that has solidified and has been the very essence of why we believe what we believe. The Most High hasn't done something to everyone, because if he did, everybody would be in this walk right now. But and yet, the Most High chose us to know him. He chose us to know his name. He chose us to be here in this time. And he known this and he's done this in the beginning. When we read scriptures like Genesis 1, chapter 1, verse 26 through 27, when the Most High speaks about creating man in his image and after his likeness, we can all stand and agree that the Most High had an image in mind when he created us. He already had what he thought we as human beings should be in the beginning when he created the universe. And when he created this image, he gave us the ability and he gave us the dominion. He gave us all these things that we can walk like gods on earth. Not be the Most High, but to be like gods on earth. Therefore, we were given dominion, we were given power, we were given authority, we were given all these different things in order for us to help this world that we're living in become like heaven. But instead, we have caused further discord and chaos that makes this world seem more like a living hell than a place of peace and comfort such as heaven. But the Most High knew what he was doing in the beginning. He knew what we would do. He knew who we would be. He knew all of us. When in Jeremiah 1, chapter 5, when he said, I formed you, I knew you before you was in your mother's womb. He knew us before then. And I always question, how did he know us? Besides the fact that, he created us, but how did he know us? And this is my thought when I was younger. I'm like, God, you knew me? You knew me? You knew all these things that I would do. You knew all these mistakes I would make. You knew all these messes that I would find myself in. You knew all of this before I even was conceived, before I was even formed in my mother's womb. You knew all these things, and yet you found me worthy of life. Why? And now I fast forward years later, and I realize it's because of this moment right now. The things that we go through, the things that we have experienced, the things that the Most High has delivered us from, it was all for his namesake. And he knew that if he placed each and every one of us in a situation and he delivered us, that we will proclaim his name. That's why he chose us and not others. to know his name. That's why he chose us and brought us into this understanding and this knowledge of truth. Because he knew from the beginning that we will serve him. He didn't bring us into this way of life during the times of our ancestors, when they were murmuring in the wilderness, or when they were slaving under Pharaoh, or even when they were in the land and they was committing abominable acts. That wasn't our time to be on this earth. Because he knew that we were supposed to get through this. That we had a heart to serve him. That we had a heart to listen and hearken and actually do all that he said we shall do. And he knew this from the beginning. And that's why we are here today. We are going through our trials. We are going through our testing. We are going through our refining process. He's removing the impurities of old. He's removing the impurities that we have gone through, the scuffs and the scrapes that we have placed ourselves under for our disobedience. But he is refining us and fine-tuning us into perfection for his name's sake, because he knows that we will shine the brightest once it's all said and done. That we will open our mouths and be the shofar, that we will declare his name amongst all the earth, no matter where we are. And he knew this. And that's why he placed us in each other's lives. Because going through pressure, going through hardships is not something you could do alone. We could pretend like we got it. We could pretend like we can carry this whole world on our shoulders. Because as men, that's how we feel. As men, we feel like we got to shoulder the burden that has been placed upon us. This is our portion. This is what we have to deal with in order for our families to get to where it has to be. But we don't have to shoulder it alone. We weren't created to be alone. And we weren't created for us to shoulder the burdens of this life alone. What we were created for is to unite one another, to strengthen one another, to encourage one another, to look after one another. Because that's what a brother is, a true brother. And if Israel's supposed to be the sons of 12 brothers, we have to do what our ancestors couldn't do. We have to be able to do something that our ancestors probably prayed for, that they thought about, but that they couldn't fully achieve. And the Most High has given us this time, in this day and age, to do that, which is to unite, which is to encourage, which is to uplift. The Torah says if your brother's in a situation or in a bind, and I'm paraphrasing, that you're supposed to bring them into your house. That you're supposed to provide them with clothes, with food, with shelter, with all these things until they can get back on their feet. We are supposed to literally be able to take the shirt off our backs and give it to another. If they are in dire need, so we have the ability to do it. This is Torah, to be able to love one another. For my brothers that subscribe to the Brick Kadashah, isn't it not written, who is my brother? Well, who is my mother? Who is my brother? Those who do the will of the Father. Those who do the will of my Father. That is my mother and my brother. If you are keeping Torah and you are keeping it righteously, our differences shouldn't separate us from serving the Creator. How we say the name of the Most High Yah shouldn't separate us from each other. Which day that we choose to keep the Shabbat shouldn't separate us from being a brother. If a stranger who lives amongst us should be treated as a native born when they are within our gates, then even so much so that a brother who may have a different understanding of the scriptures, even they should also still receive that same love, that same respect, that same acknowledgement as there's a brother that's in the same thinking and mind frame as you. And a reason for that is because we all don't have the answers. We do not have all the answers. Each and every one of us, the Most High has given us some wisdom, some knowledge, and some understanding. But when we continue to build with one another, our knowledge, our wisdom, our understanding, all these different things starts to grow because of the information that we have attained from one another. Therefore, we are able to build a more stronger and sturdier foundation for our communities, for our families, and for this nation. Our brotherhood is lacking. I'm not speaking specifically on this call. I'm talking about as a nation as a whole. But it's getting better because of all these different social media platforms. We are now able to connect with different individuals and different brothers from around the world. And therefore now we're able to have conversations that we normally wouldn't have had in the past. We're able to get down to the root of some of the issues that we've had. We're able to develop and grow. That way, Israel as a whole is just a little bit more better. And the reason for that is because the Most High knew that we are supposed to be those individuals that are supposed to help build up this kingdom. That's why we are here now in this time. That's why we are here now in this moment, to strengthen each other. More, I see your hand raised.
Adon. Shalom, to you and the other Akim on the line. So I have a question, right? Because you're speaking on unity, and you're speaking on the need for brotherhood, right? So I have a question. It's probably gonna seem like a trick question, but you know me. Can you read Zechariah chapter 11, verse 14, and tell me what that means to you? Well, let's read it first, and then So let's read it first, if that's okay with you, Adon.
Okay. So
Okay.
Zechariah chapter 11:14.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then I cut asunder my other staff, even bands, that I might break the brotherhood between Judah and Israel.
So the Most High said that He was going to break the bands or the staff of unity or brotherhood, that I might break the brotherhood between Judah and Israel. Right. So why do you think that, well, two questions Adon, for that. One, since the Most High did it, do you think that today we are still living out the effects of Him breaking that brotherhood? And then two, if the Most High commanded us to have brotherhood and to be, unified, so on and so forth, then why would He do that? And this is just, it's not only to you, it's to the brothers, and and then we can kind of build off that, if that's okay with you, Aki.
Okay. And I'm glad that you asked that. I'm gonna fast forward a little to Zechariah 13, right? Where it says, start at verse 7. Awake, O sword, against my shepherd and against the man that is my fellow, says Yahuwah of hosts. Smite the shepherd, and the sheep shall be scattered, and I will turn my hand upon the little ones. And it shall come to pass that in all the land, said Yahuwah, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die, and the third shall be left therein. And I will bring the third part through the fire, and will refine them as silver is refined, and will try them as gold is tried. They shall call on my name, and I will hear them. I will say, it is my people, and they shall say, Yahuwah is my Elohim. The part of the Most High breaking us apart has to happen. It has to. That's why it happened. But throughout the scriptures, he constantly talks about regathering the remnant. He talks about bringing forth the ones that he has scattered from the 4 corners of the earth. So are we still in that time of the separation? Or are we in a time now of the gathering? It all depends on our purpose. Because the Most High does have us divided. He has us divided in so many aspects, and we've been divided for so many years, ever since King Shlomo, Melech Shlomo. That's when we first really split between Judah and Israel. And it's been that way ever since. But now, as we are watching the signs that is happening, and we're seeing the prophecies being fulfilled, the Most High is trying us. Still, 2/3 is going to perish. The wheats and the tares will separate. Then there's no longer going to be, are you Israel because of your blood or you're not your blood? It's going to be about your acts. Are you wicked indeed, or are you righteous indeed? Because the wicked cannot prevail. And that's why it's important for us to strengthen one another, to help one another, to watch over one another, to make sure that we're all walking in righteousness. Because at any given moment, we can slip. We can make a mistake, and that could be our very last. So I agree. More Dawood, and then I see Zaquin Melchiahu.
Zokane could definitely go first. I would love to hear his thoughts on that. Shalom, Zakwe.
Shalom, shalom. How y'all doing today? Um, what you read, what Daoud had you read was uh, something that was important to take place because together, a house together will stand, but a house divided can't stand. And you're right, this thing took off long before Daoud even became king. When the brothers would cross the Jordan and they would kill each other then because they couldn't say certain words. So enmity between brothers been going on for a long period of time. And the purpose of this is for us not to stand together. So where do we stand at today? Today we are in the same situation. The problem is we are no good to Yah until we come to realize his way is the only way. I ask myself this question all the time. If we're Torah keepers and we living like we think you have for us to live, why are we still here? We know things is changing. And we know there's a large portion of us that's got to perish. And then I look at the brothers that's over there in the land too. And I say, well, you went over into the land with America in you. Even our brothers that went over in 1967, they went over there with America in them. And then they gathered some of the Jewishness that was over there in the land too. You was assimilated then. Like I tell my wife, if I leave here and go to Mexico, I trade one captivity for another. I just get assimilated into their lifestyle. But that's not what Yah want. When they crossed the Jordan, they knew no sin because they spent 40 years in the wilderness only learning his ways and what he instructed and how he instructed. Now we got a mixed version of that, which is still no good because he said, I'll spill you out even if you're lukewarm. You can't have a part of me in you and a part of the world in you. That don't work either. You have to have all of me or none of me. So that's where we at now. We still are divided full. And until we get to that point where it's all of him and none of this world, we're going to be this ways. And I'm going to yield there. I'm going to stop there.
Okay, hallelujah. More Dawood.
Okay. And I agree, right? So two things that Zokane said and also the reading in Zechariah. So the Most High broke the unity between the two brothers or between the two houses based on what they were doing together. So we the Most High divides unity or breaks the unity when there's wickedness. Whenever there's wickedness going on between a unified front, the Most High breaks the brotherhood in order for that to no longer manifest. Right now, we are in a situation where, based on that effect, we know we are hesitant to come together under righteousness. So it's okay to saying about having a mixture, right? And the reason why, if we think that we're living the way the Creator asks us to, then why are we still here? Well, it's very clear that the Creator called for unity. So what Adon AzahrYahu is speaking of is critical in order for us to get out of here. And because we refuse to come together unified, right, and cry out to the Creator, actually build multiple communities to where we are living together, where that area or that community is being controlled and governed under Torah. Because we refuse to do these things, we are going to remain here. Because and one of the reasons why I'll say this, right? So you see in Zechariah that the brotherhood is broken, but then you read in the book of Isaiah, and then I'll yield. I can't tell you. You go to the book of Isaiah, verse 13. It says, the envy also of Ephraim shall depart, and the adversaries of Judah shall be cut off. Ephraim shall not envy Judah, and Judah shall not vex Ephraim. So we see now in the end times, right, when the gathering is taking place, those two brothers that the Most High broke the brotherhood of, those feelings of infighting and envy and vexing one another, they're going to be gone. So that means that toward the end times, that the gathering or the brotherhood has to come back together. So I'll yield on this. It's either we remain docile and divided, or we become strong and united.
Hallelujah, King. Shah Shamar, I seen your hand up, and then I see AzahrYahu.
I praise the Most High Yah. Can you hear me? Yeah, the question regarding Zechariah chapter 11, verse 14, you talk about the breaking the brotherhood between Judah and Israel. One thing I thought about was when I was younger, I was homeschooled, we still had to wake up early to go to school. So if we would stay up late just talking, having fun, my parents, they would separate me and my brother. They would say, all right, you go in the bathroom, you go in the kitchen, and sit right here beside me. And then I'll let you know when it's time to go to bed, since we didn't want to listen. Or if, we did something against each other, the parents would separate us, you go in the bathroom, you go in the kitchen. Then after a while, they would let us go back in the room, go to sleep and do whatever. I also thought about Bereshit, Genesis chapter 11, when the Most High, the people that were trying to build the Tower, of Babel, and he confounded their language. He also scattered them. So I saw a link between those two chapters or those two verses, when the Most High, scattered the people abroad because they were doing something that was contrary to His way, contrary to His word. I yield.
King. King. That goes back to what Moridawa was saying in regards to you can't have unity and wickedness. The heart of the people wasn't to glorify the Most High when they were building the Tower of Babel. It is for them to ascend to be like the Most High. So the Most High did that. So Cain told out for that correlation. AzahrYahu.
Okay, shalom, shalom. Can you hear me, Adon? Okay, Toda. So, total blessing first and foremost, going forth, and I'm listening to all the Gebarim, and I'm astonished because it's definitely something that the Most High has me on my halakha, my walk, and it's becoming more prevalent and in your face now, with what you're bringing forth. So I say Toda about for allowing the Most High to bring this on your heart. Just to kind of compound with my Dawood, he brought a definite point, but I want to give a contrast to support the ending of it as well. So I'm gonna go to the book of Tehillim, Psalms 133. We all know this one, as Akeem should know. Reading from the top, reads, "See how good it is pleasant for brothers to dwell together in unity, like the precious ointment on the head running down on the beard of Aharon, running down on the collar of his robe, like the dew of Carmel that comes down the mountains of Zion. For there Yehovah commanded the blessing, live forever." That strikes home for me in regards to this conversation coming up. That's what it should look like. That's what unity should look like. It should look like a precious ointment. It should look like righteousness. And another thing that actually caught my eye in the Hebrew, verse 3, that word for Karman, which is basically like a sanctuary. So All of these things is to be in a mannerism of a sanctuary, safety, comfort. Even the word for do means to cover completely. So going back to what you're bringing forth, Adon, talking about repairing the breaches. Once those breaches are closed, once those wounds are healed, just like the skin upon your body, it is covered completely without any entry points, any breaches to get in to cause any type of infection, any type of infiltration. All of those seals are cut off once we actually start operating in unity. Otherwise, you're going to be in the mannerism of Isaiah, to where we're sick from our head to our feet. You know what I'm saying? There's another point that you brought out earlier. I was actually going to refer to the Brit Kadashah as well, in the book of James, in regards to works. And that was something that kind of pricked my spirit too, because a lot of times you have a lot of brothers, if we're not actually acting out, being a strong defense for our brothers, if we're just saying it, then, you know, that quote unquote faith that we have within that word, Achim, is just a word to us now. It's not an act. We're not actually doing what James is saying, giving the clothes off our backs, feeding people when they're hungry, taking those extra measures that we're supposed to take in regards to taking care of our brothers, you know. But not to get too zealous, I'm starting to feel on fire, but I'm gonna yield at this point. I'm gonna lay my plane right there. Told blessing again, Adon.
Okay, and Toda for those words, because it's important for what you just said. It's important for us to remember nothing in the Torah, nothing in the scriptures are abstract. Everything is concrete. Everything must show action. When the Most High speaks, it must come to pass. It cannot return void. So when we say things, when we give our word, we're supposed to back it up with our actions, or we're just spitting out hot air. And therefore, we're not being true to our word nor true to our brother. Zaken, I see your hand raised. Zaken, yeah.
Okay. I think the problem is we misunderstanding what the word unity means according to scripture. I think what we got is our education level of what the definition of unity means. And I think we believe that's something we can do. And I don't believe this unity that he's speaking of is something that we can do. I think this unity that he's speaking of is when he says, choose life, choose Kai. When he gave us the commandments, it says, choose Kai. Now I remember Baruch showed a film once, and all these fishes swimming, not fishes, all these fish is swimming in the same direction, moving as one. And that's the type of unity he's talking about. Once you start doing things as he commands, start doing things, then you start moving as one. Then you become akkad with him, and then you become unified. But other than that, as long as we think unity is something that we come together and do, we're missing the point, we're missing the boat. I think we need to be akkad in how we move and how we think. And there's only one way to do that, and that's with his word. Sorry, I yield.
Gang. That's the very Ecclesiastes. We know it all too well. Ecclesiastes, chapter 12, verse 13 and 14. It says what the whole duty of man is to fear Yah, keep his commandments. That's the end of all matters. If we are fearing the Most High and we're keeping his word, if we are doing the things that leads to life, then we can truly be a Akkad, because we are all walking and striving towards that very same goal, which is life. You know, we're not seeking the path of death. We're not seeking the path of unrighteousness. We're not seeking the path that leads to death. But we know that the only way that we can have life is by keeping the word of the Most High and having it within our inward parts. There's going to be a time when it's all said and done, when the smoke clears, and those who have remained and have and that made it through the storm, this Torah is going to be in their hearts regardless. We're not even going to be teaching this word anymore, because we're all going to know it. We're all going to live it. We're all going to finally have that unity, because the Most High's word will be within us. It will literally be a part of our being. It will be a Akkad with us, because at that point, we will be a Akkad with the Most High. But it's only by keeping his word will that happen. And understanding what his word says, not debating over his word, but by keeping his word wholeheartedly, with all our soul, with all our heart, with all our might. That's the only way we're truly going to be able to establish and achieve the oneness that we are looking for, that we're hoping for, that we're praying for. And if we can't keep the word of the Most High, how can we say we love him? How can we say that we love the Most High when we don't even show love for one another? The scriptures make it very clear that's impossible. We can't say we love Yah and yet we hate one another, or we show strife with one another. Because where's your love for the Creator? We are all his creations, and we are all given purpose. And if we don't walk in that purpose, or we're trying to take someone from their purpose, that's no different trying to rob them of their life. More Dawood, I see a hand raised, and then I see sorry, Yosef.
Okay. So I want to keep this, short, so we don't end up going, back and forth. However, right. So the Creator has already done his part, right? And what I mean by that is twofold. One, he has opened up our eyes and our ears to be attentive to his word, right? And then two, he has left the word, and within that word are commands, right? So when you go to Zechariah 2:1, it tells you to gather yourselves, right? So the Most High has now done his part by giving you the ability to gather yourselves before the day of the Most High comes, right? That's something that you must do. In the book of Joel, chapter 2, he tells the people to blow the shofar. He tells the people to gather the elders, not only the elders, but to gather the men, to gather the babies, the sucklings, so on and so forth, right? He's telling the people to do these things. So now, based on the savior complex that we have, right? From the indoctrination of religion, based on that savior complex that we have, that somebody else has to do it for us, we still don't want to fully complete the commands of the Creator, because he told you to gather yourselves. In Egypt, right? And I'm a yield. In Egypt, in Shemota, Exodus chapter 2, when we cried out that word Za'at, for those who been to cry out, so on and so forth, that's what the Creator told. Well, that's what the Creator heard. That word Za'at means to cry out, but it also means to assemble. So he heard a unified cry of the people. He didn't tell them to do that, but when they did it based on themselves, that's when he heard. So unless you have unity, right? um, 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 Whether you want to go to the wilderness, right? He said that he's going to take us into the wilderness the second time. That means that we will be unified. So if it is right, because okay asked a question, which I'm going to reiterate, but if we are doing what the Creator told us to do, right? Because we all are striving for righteousness, which is keeping the word as much as we can in captivity, being righteous in captivity. Daniel couldn't keep all the law, but he kept what he could in captivity and was called righteous. Ezekiel couldn't keep all the law, but he kept what he could in captivity and was considered righteous, so on and so forth. So, with that being said, if we are keeping the things that we can keep and striving toward righteousness, then why haven't we been gathered? And the reason why we haven't been gathered is because we haven't listened and obeyed the command to gather ourselves. Are you?
King. Because I was listening to what you were saying, right? And you said something when you were talking about Daniel, and then you were talking about Ezekiel. One thing that we can't do is we can't do this alone. If I'm righteous in my own house and you're righteous in your own house, we can have our righteousness. We can have we can establish our homes accordingly. But if we do not unite our houses together, we are not getting anywhere. And we seem to have a lot of righteous houses, but no unity. A nation is not just one family. It's not one person. A nation is a collective group of families, a collective group of communities. Each tribe had their own land. But even within that, the whole land is considered Israel. If we're not doing this together, it's no different than basically saying we're not doing it at all. Because what good is your works in your home when it's not helping anyone outside your home? I see your hand, sorry, Joseph, and I just wanted to just touch one more point real quick. And then I'm going to give you the mic because I wanted to bring this forth from Deuteronomy chapter 8. And starting at verse 1. If I can just get here we go. All the commandments which I've commanded thee this day shall you observe to do, that ye may live and multiply and go in and possess the land which Jehovah sware unto your fathers. And you shall remember all the way which Jehovah thy Elohim led thee these 40 years in the wilderness, to humble you and to prove you, to know what was in your heart, whether thou wilt keep his commandments or no. In this captivity that we are in this time that we are in, this is exactly what's happening today. The Most High is trying us to see if we can get it together. He can't do everything for us. As parents, some of us are fathers. When your child is small, you do everything for them. You feed them, you bathe them, you change their diaper, you pick them up, you carry them, you do all these things. But as you're doing it, you're teaching them, you're showing them the way that they should go. And as you continue to watch them grow, the more or less hands-on you become. You're no longer changing their diaper, they're putting their own underwear on. You're no longer spoon feeding them, they're feeding themselves. You're no longer holding their hand, they're able to look across the street and to walk across the street by themselves. Eventually, you have to let go and allow them to become who you have raised them to become. And that's what the Most High is doing with us. He given us the law. He has given us the word. He has held us. He has held our hand and shown us the way. But now it's time for us to show our Father that we can do it. Like my daughter says, I gotta go to the potty. I said, okay. Before it was, can you help me? Okay. Now she says, I can do it. I said, you need me to help you? She said, no, I can do it. And then I watch her. I watch her take her potty seat down. I watch her put it on the toilet. And then I watch her go use the bathroom. I'm watching my little girl grow up. And when she make these great strides in achievement of becoming independent, it brings a warmness to my heart. Because I'm seeing her develop and she's maturing. The Most High is watching us. He can't do everything for us because he's already given us the ability to do it. That's why he gave us dominion. That's why he gave us the ability to subdue the earth. He gave us everything we needed in the beginning. Then he gave us the rules, the instructions that we needed in order to keep it going in righteousness. But we have to do our part. We have to strengthen one another. We got to lift up one another because guess what? Brothers always look out. Sisters always look out for one another. Because when the parents are no longer there, who do you have to fall back on now? When the parent finally grows up and passes on, and I'm an only child, but I have children and I see it. When children are together and they're working together, they can achieve so much more than when they do it alone. And as brothers in this walk, we have the ability to make a difference for our communities, for our nation, but we have to come together. We have to strengthen one another. We have to hold on to each other. Because if we're going to expect the Most High to do it all for us, when the Most High takes his hands off of us, it's all going to fall apart. And that's why we have to we have to walk this thing out together. We have to walk this thing out righteously. We have to seek life collectively. Because what good is it for me to live and you die? How can my children be able to continue to move forward if there's no one that they can connect or join with? We have to build this, we got to build this nation up the way that the Most High has ordained it to be so. But it's not going to happen if we do it alone. And it's not going to happen if we keep on turning our backs on one another. Sorry, Yosef, the floor is yours.
Kane and Adon. Spot on as always again. So I wanted to try to I'm gonna try to bring a contrast, just a contrast, because the aspect of unity is told male, but to kind of walk this line, right? It's like a commonality as we're looking through scripture. And now, 2022, one of the biggest dividers, if not the biggest divider, is fear. We see that obviously in the very beginning, Adam and Hawa hiding themselves among the trees. And I'm going through, right? And I'm looking. I'm in Shemot, chapter 19, right? One of the things that was brought out was that togetherness, right? That achad, being of one mind. So as I'm looking at verse 8, and it says, all the people answered together, and it says, all that Yahuwah has spoken, we shall do. That's one mind. They were operating in unison at that moment in time to come to a common agreement. But here's where the fear comes in. We just go through verse chapter 20, which we all know, right? And then it says, verse 19, just look at, actually, let me go up. Verse 18, and all the people saw the thunder and the lightning and the flashing and the voice of the shofar and the mountain smoking, and the people saw it and they were trembling instead of the distance. So you just literally committed yourself, but then fear creeps in. And now you're standing at a distance. You put that wedge in between because of fear. Stay in that same book of Shemot, 24. This is the thing that kind of blew my mind too. Shemot 24. First verse. And to Moshe, he said, come up to Yahuwah, you and Aharon and Nadab and Habihu and 70 elders of Yisrael, and by yourselves from a distance. So that gap is still there because of fear. But yet and still, they said it twice, all that Yahuwah has spoken, we shall do within that same chapter. But that fear leads to sin because we already understand what happened to Nadab and Abihu. That fear leads to lack of understanding. That fear leads to divide. That fear leads to everything contrary to us building. Let's take it to 2022. There's a lot of fear that won't even allow us to speak to our brothers sometimes. To let me use that word, to correct our brothers sometimes, because we may be fearful of their facial expressions, even though the Most High said, do not fear their face, and those type of categories. So that's just one of the biggest things that I wanted to pull out. I don't want to go too far deep for the sake of time, but that's one of the things that is a wedge, I would say, and it needs to be removed. We need to remove that fear to correct one another. If it's truly in love, there should be no fear. I say it like that. Because what do we read in the book of Joshua? Be strong and with good courage, correct? That brother had no fear. Why? Because we read later on, even though everything was going on, they still didn't get everybody out the land. Joshua said what? As for me and my house, we're going to serve Yah. There's no fear in that. You can even read it between the lines and hear it in the words of what he's saying, that there's no fear in his heart when it comes to his Elohim. So him and his Elohim are joined. They're achad. But it's that fear that divides us as brethren, that has us scattered about. And it causes us to do wickedness. I'll lay my plane right there.
You must be in my vein. You must be in the same vein because you definitely just took one of my closing parts. However, Toda Yah, because you're absolutely correct. That was the whole, that what you just really brought out at the very end was the whole point of this whole message, is that we have to stay strong. We have to stay encouraged. We have to stay in good courage. We can't walk in fear. The scripture says, I didn't give you the spirit of fear. I'm trying to it's 2 Timothy, right? Chapter 1:7. For Elohim has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind, or self-control, depending on some versions. That's powerful to understand that. But we also know in Proverbs it says, "The fear of the Most High is the beginning of wisdom." If we fear the Most High righteously, and not the word fear itself, but revere, stand in awe, in all trembling, knowing that the Most High can take us out at any time, in any point in time. We have to understand that the Most High can do whatever He wants to do, whenever He wants to do, at any given time. And to know that He has that ability should be reason enough for us to fear Him. That should be reason enough for us to stand in awe of His greatness. And that should be even more reason for us to keep this commandment. Because He said, if you don't keep His commandment, you're choosing death. You're choosing death when you purposely choose not to walk in His commandments. But if we do continue to walk in that aspect of life, we're never going to get anywhere. And that's why I again, this wasn't my initial thought, but this is what the Most High is looking for. No longer are the days where we can make excuses on why we're not getting anywhere. We are now in a time where we have to openly admit that the reason why we are still stuck here, the reason why we're still here in this capacity, the reason why we're enduring all these different things, is because we have not come together. We are not protecting one another. We're not encouraging one another. And therefore, we're not truly keeping the commandments of the Most High. And that's just something we really I just want everyone to think about. When you think about your behaviors towards one another, towards those that you may have a disagreement with on Facebook or any social media, towards whenever you look at a situation, just think about, is this bringing unity? Or is this furthering the discord? And if it's furthering the discord, are you truly keeping Torah? I want y'all all to just be strong and encouraged. We are not perfect, but we serve a perfect Elohim. We will make mistakes. That happens. But that's why we're supposed to have each other's back, because a righteous man falls 7 times, but he gets back up 8. We may have times where we slip. We may have times where we mess up. We have times where we may forget. And that's why when we pray, we ask the Most High to show forgiveness, to show mercy. But if we're not showing mercy or forgiveness to each other, how can the Most High show mercy and forgiveness to us? If we're not showing compassion to each other, how's the Most High going to show compassion to us? What we expect from the Most High, we have to expect from one another. If I expect the Most High to love me, through my transgressions, through my mistakes, I expect the Most High expects me to love my brother. Do the same thing. And if we continue to turn our backs on one another, we're never going to get anywhere. And it's all going to fall onto our children. And do our children need to continue to have to clean up our mistakes as we're trying to clean up the mistakes of our ancestors? No. Our children shouldn't have to. But in order for that to happen, we have to start cleaning up house together. And with that, I say Toda Rabbayah for this opportunity to just speak to you, brothers, this evening, to share this message of unity, of love, of togetherness, of encouragement, and that may the Most High be glorified in everything that we're trying to do. That his name may be esteemed, that when people look at us and when people look at the things that we're doing, they have to say, clearly the Most High God is with them. Because how else can they able to achieve what they have achieved if it wasn't for God? Let us all become proper representations in the Most High. So when people see us, they see him. That his name may be glorified in all things. And with that, I say shalom. And at this time, is there any comments, any questions? I open up the floor. Can I see Sar Yosef first and then Shah Shamar?
Can you hear me? Look out for the background noise. Sar just woke up. But as always, Toda Yah, for the words being brought forth, it pricked my spirit. Yeah, it pricked my spirit in a different way. The last portion that you just brought out, I wanted to touch on that real quick, and then I'm yield the floor, because I had a conversation with my Abba not too long ago, and of course we was just chopping it up, but he was talking about rebuilding and fixing his house because of a lot of mistakes. I mean, he's looking back at a lot of things that he has done in his time, and it's impacting him in a different way, because where he's at now in his walk, his sins, I would say, are before him, as our King Melech Dawid, and he's really recollecting those things and doing everything he possibly can now to try to fix it. So it's just astounding to hear that, and then to hear it again being brought forth. So it's a definite assurance for me to continuously work on cleaning up our house, to build that strong front for anything that comes our way, for any fiery arrow that the adversary intends to toss our way, and for any trial that the Most High puts before us, to have us endure and to grow and to reach that next level. So again, Toda Adon for its whole lesson. I think it was very much needed. It called for the time. It called for the time. So Toda Adon for you. Praise the Most High Yah for this lesson. Praise Most High for all the Akeem and the lives on here. Yeah, just continuous praise and honor to the Creator.
Hallelujah. Toda. I love when the things that we experience in day to day connects with the message that brings forth, because it shows that the Most High is revealing himself in a way that when we are paying attention, we can see the dots being connected. And therefore we can further grow in our understanding and our awe for the creator, to know that he's really watching over us and he's really hearing our conversations and he really knows what we are thinking and what we are seeing. So it astounds me every time when it happens, when I can say, yeah, you really are here. You are here in my conversation. You are here in my life. You are here. And I'm thankful to be in your presence. So just Toda Yah for that confirmation as well, Aki. It's greatly appreciated. Shah, the floor is yours, Aki.
Ken, I just want to say, all praise to the Most High God, told about the Most High, for allowing you to bring up the lesson. And also all the brothers that brought up the points. I learned a lot. Just having a strong relationship with the Most High, having that unity, to bring the Creator's name back on the earth. Also meditating on the part about the righteous man, the just man falling 7 times, with the wicked fall to mischief. So I was thinking about that. I think about that a lot. But my goal is, to get to the point where, now I don't fall anymore. We don't fall anymore. But all praise to the Most High, for the lesson. May He continue to watch over all of us and continue to, strengthen us until the end. Are you?
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. I don't see any more hands up. So at this time, if there's no one else that has anything else they'd like to add or bring forth, I would just do a closing tefillah. All right. Let us face the east if we're in the ability to do so. Hallelujah. 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 Baruch atah Yahuwah. Baruch Hashem Yahuwah. Melech ha'olam asher natah ha'torah wa'chaim. Blessed be you, Yahuwah, and blessed be your name, Yahuwah. Sovereign of the universe, giver of the Torah and life. We come before you this evening just to say Toda Rabbah Abiyah for allowing us to just gather another moment in time to be within your midst. To just be able to be in your presence, oh Yah, is truly a humble experience. For we know that you are watching over us and you are guiding us and leading us, oh Yah, that we may grow to be closer to you and to one another. Continue to look upon your people, oh Yah. Look upon the conditions that we are in. Search our hearts and our mind, oh Yah. And guide us accordingly that we may walk with you. That we may be Ishkael and not sons of Bilal. Allow the works of our hands, oh Yah, to be pleasing to your sight, that we may do according to your word. That we may strengthen the bonds amongst one another. That we may reestablish the communities. That we may bring together back the nation, oh Yah. For you to be glorified. And for your name to be esteemed. Forgive us and forgive me, oh Yah. For any things that we have done knowingly or unknowingly that has been against your word. Forgive our ancestors, oh Yah, for their disobedience towards your word. Do not allow us to continue to suffer your wrath. but we seek your guidance, that we may learn from our corrections, that we may be humbled, oh Yah, that we may walk according to your way upright. For we know that it's easy to stray to the left and stray to the right in this world that we are in. But if we stay focused on you, oh Yah, we know that we will always head in the right direction. That your Torah may guide the path to everlasting life. That we may continue to be your set apart ones. Remove the vain things from our lives, oh Yah, and replace it with the things of righteousness, the things that hold weight, the things of substance, that we may no longer spend our time idly and use our words in vain. But with everything that we do it, that it may bring glorification to your great and awesome name. That when we speak to one another, that we speak to one another in love, that we show that love in our actions. That when we continue to strive and walk this path, that we don't walk it alone. Watch over our families, oh Yah. Continue to provide the necessities that we need. Continue to bless us with the abundance that we need according to our houses, oh Yah. Continue to bring forth your word into each and every one of our hearts and our minds, that we may constantly think on them. That our focus is always on you. That we may always be prepared whenever the times come for you to use us according to your will. May you give us rest, oh Yah, that our bodies and our spirits may be rejuvenated as we prepare to lay down. That when we wake up renewed and refreshed. That we wake up with the ability and the awareness to give you praise in all that we do. That we may be a proper representation of you. Keep us, oh Yah. Keep our loved ones, oh Yah. And continue to prepare the way as we continue to strive together in unity. That we may be your set apart ones once again. That we may come together and with one mind give you all the honor, all the glory, and all the praise that you are due, oh Yah. For you are our Savior and our Redeemer, and all the glory belongs to you. Blessed be you, Yahuwah. Blessed be your name, Yahuwah. And bless he who comes in your name, Yahuwah. Hallelujah. 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 Selah.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
All right, Akeem, I wish you all Lakimya.